Hey everyone, this week's podcast is brought to you by the Michael Dolce 2019 Masterclass Tour.
Hi guys, Michael Dolce here to announce my Masterclass Tour for 2019. It has already kicked off and I'm looking forward to bringing it to a town near you. This particular time around, I'm dedicating the sessions to an open style topic. So basically, you guys as the players will dictate how the Masterclass will run. The classes are open for intermediate to advanced players, and as per usual, I always strive to make the classes non-intimidating. There's a whole heap of jam in. If you'd like some more information on the classes, please visit my website at www.michaeldolcemusic, and I hope to see you guys there. Cheers for now.
Hi there, you are listening to the Guitar Speak podcast. My name is Matt Wakeling, and this is the show I produce in Sydney, Australia, where I speak to leading guitarists and guitar figures from all around the world. Thank you so much for joining me for episode number 115. Now today I'm joined by Nick Wolfe, frontman and guitar player of the Wolfe Brothers band, fantastic country rock band, hailing from the Australian island state of Tasmania. Nick talks about his early achy breaky heart days through to his metal days, and then synthesizing all his great loves into the Wolfe Brothers project, which he shares with his brother Tom Wolfe on bass, Brody Rainbird on guitars, and Casey Kostick on drums. We have an excellent conversation talking about how the Wolfe Brothers worked so hard but then smashed down the door of opportunity that reality TV provided for them and sent their career in a whole new orbit. Talk about working with Lee Kernaghan, about the association with Fender Australia, and also why a good roadcase can actually provide a great deal of joy in your life. All right, we'll jump straight in. Here's my conversation. Nick Wolfe, welcome to the Guitar Speak podcast.
Mate, thanks so much for having me on. I can't lie, I'm a little bit intimidated. I'm a pretty regular listener to the podcast, and you know, a lot of my heroes have been on here and people I really admire. So I'm flattered to be asked to be on, but a little scared too. So we'll be right.
Oh, for sure, man. We're very stoked to have you on the show. So, man, thanks for your time. It's heaps good.
No worries.
So let's go back to the start. What got you started on guitar in the first place?
Well, I come from 4 generations of musicians and farmers, and Dad was a drummer, and I think I first wanted to play drums, and he might have had a little drum kit first, and then but Dad was always I can really remember him saying, no, you don't want to be back there. You want to be out the front and doing all that. So he didn't force us to play instruments, but he strongly encouraged, I guess. And so when I was 6, I think I was 6 or 7, I can remember going to the music shop, McCann's in Hobart, and I got a red Samick and a little it was a Samick amp, and it was like a red Valencia or something electric. So that was my first guitar. Don't have it anymore, but yeah, that was my first few years. Started lessons pretty much straight away with a guy called Jason Patmore, and I've always had really good teachers. I've always thought were, I guess, you know, really cool, and I always wanted to be like them to a degree. As I'm sure a lot of guitarists kind of have done. So Jason kind of taught me the basics, and and then it kind of, as I went through and got older, I got into a lot of different types of music, and it's been a cool journey.
Very good. Now, did you say you were 6 years old when you got that guitar?
Yeah. So
wow.
I think I was 6. Yeah. So as I say, Dad was very encouraging. I think Dad actually had an idea, and he said that he might have wanted to make a family band type thing at some point down the track, you know, with me on guitar and my brother Tom on bass, and then him on the kit. I think maybe that was the end game, but that didn't. I did play with Dad and his band for a little while, but we never really did that as a thing. But yeah.
That's cool, man. That's very cool, man. 6, that's really young, and you're just straight into electric, no mucking around on an acoustic.
Yeah. I kind of wish I didn't actually touch like a nylon string guitar until I was in high school, and that was what they had, in the music block. And I thought, oh, that's actually pretty cool. And I think that sort of I went, on a little classical type expedition there for a while, but never got too far with that. But so straight on the electric, and I think the first thing I ever learnt was Yankee Doodle, and then Achy Breaky Heart was really big at the time, so I sort of
that's great.
Learned that, and it was just sort of like, it wasn't even really the actual guitar parts, it was just like the melody in guitar notes.
Okay. Oh, that's like cool. That's cool.
And and then I can remember, struggling with bar chords and all that sort of stuff, and so I always sort of played guitar all through primary school, but I guess it wasn't probably until high school I started taking it a bit more seriously.
Okay.
So
Were you singing as well?
I was. This is pretty. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think we did like a Hanson cover in the primary school talent show where I sang, and I had a similar type voice at the time, and hopefully there's no footage of that exists anywhere in the world. But
that's great.
Yeah,
man.
so I always sort of sang a bit as well.
Yeah, cool. Which Hanson tune?
Oh, I think it was probably Umbop.
Yeah.
It's
cool.
Pretty big around my grade 4-5 era, I think.
You must have been the coolest kid in year 4 though, if you're busting out that.
Well, I remember, the power of guitar in those situations I was pretty cool for a couple of days there, I think, to be honest.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Now, you mentioned video footage. I haven't found any Mbop footage of you, but I have seen...
That's good.
I have seen video footage of you. I think it's high school. I don't know. I think you're doing Enter Sandman at like a talent competition or something. Is there any...
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
Is there any truth in that?
That's very true. That was so high school for me. Really, well, I was into a lot of different things, but what you're referring to there is my peak of my metal glory years there.
Awesome.
So we had a band, myself, Casey, who drums for the Wolfe Brothers, and 2 other guys who were in our grade, and we played basically was mostly Metallica, some Pantera, and a little bit of Iron Maiden, and they were sort of like the trinity of our our metal heritage. And I think we were called something ridiculous like Amenhotep, some sort of Egyptian pharaoh reference,
That's perfect. That's great.
The cool thing about it was at the time, it was the height of new metal. So our thing was like, everyone else at school was into Limp Bizkit and Korn, and all that, and we were rocking the Master of Puppets t-shirts, and we were those guys.
Yeah,
so trying to grow our hair, and but that footage you're speaking of is quite funny because I think the act on before us played Limp Bizkit Roll, and they all had like white t-shirts and red caps turned backwards with it. I think they even had the girls in the grade as like a dancing crew.
Wow!
And then everyone's like, "Wow, that's pretty cool." And then we come on and play into Sandman, and then just every bogan from the crowd runs out and forms this mosh. And then the funny thing about it is there's like a lady picking up her child and like evacuating it from the area. It's just magical. I'm so glad it's on video, that one.
That's my favourite part. That's so good.
And there's a guy with the sort of, undercuts were really big then. And, this guy has like an undercut that's almost to the top of his head, just sort of a Phil Anselmo style deal going on. He runs out, throws his cap down on the ground, and just like fully commits to this mosh. It's an incredible footage.
I love it, man. But
yeah.
man, but seriously though, to pull off Pantera and Maiden stuff at still a fairly young age, that is impressive. You guys must have been serious about getting
Yeah.
your stuff together.
Well, it was just, high school, and we just loved it, mate. It was funny. We went into the music shop down in Hobart, Modern Musician, the other day with my mum, and she was looking at all the tab books that were on display there, and there's the Master of Puppets and Black Album, and Mum's like, "Oh, we've got all these at home," and like, and the guy in the music shop was saying, like, these are the ones that you just constantly stock. That's what people always buy. Eric Clapton Unplugged. I think it's a Guns N' Roses one where there's like select solos from different ones, and
So
just
good.
great times.
Very cool. Very cool. So, yeah, I mean that's serious stuff to cut your chops on. That's really cool.
Yeah, we had a really good music. It was a great music department at my high school, Kingston High School. Lee Crombie was a teacher, and he was like, again, one of those teachers who you thought was cool, because he was cool. He is cool. He's a legend. And there's been a few sort of different musicians that have come out of that. Joe Haley and Dave Haley from the metal band Psychroptic. They sort of tour the world now.
Yeah.
So he taught them and taught all of us. And I think we really inspired us. He'd lend us CDs. I remember, like, he was the guy that showed me Hendrix and showed me Stevie Ray Vaughan and tons of different stuff, So it'd always be, he'd run you off a cassette of all this cool stuff, you'd never really heard of, because YouTube wasn't around then.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
So he was sort of a source of cool guitar stuff.
Yeah, fantastic. So I'm guessing this is, I don't know, like mid-90s?
I think it would have been, like late 90s. So what am I, 34? So late 90s, getting into the 2000s.
Yeah, okay.
Sort of era.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm terrible with dates, sorry.
No, that's good. That's all good. Excellent. And what else were you playing around then? You said you were playing other styles as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, there was one period I remember where I was doing like, and this is not representative of me these days any way, shape or form, but when I was so into it, I was doing 3 hours practice a day, and one was like steel string practice, the other was electric, and the other one was nylon. And, I'd just get like a classical book or something and try and learn how to read music well enough to do it. And then the steel string stuff, I think I got the Tommy Emmanuel video for Christmas, so I'd try and learn those sorts of things. And then the other stuff was electric, and I'd just be different scales and things from books and all that sort of stuff. And I think that was kind of where I got better in a rapid way, but the rest of it's been a pretty slow grind.
That's cool. But so you're obviously like fairly disciplined though to be banging out 3 hours a day on that
back
stuff.
then, mate. But I didn't have much going on back then. It was just complete schoolwork and then get home and play guitar. I just loved it back then. I still love it now, obviously. But I'm really glad. I had very supportive parents that, like, as I say, Dad was a musician. Mum isn't a musician, but loves music, and they always just supported us in whatever we wanted to do musically, whether it was metal. We used to have a game with Mum where we'd play a Metallica riff, and Mum could sort of guess it within the first what song it was by the first 5 seconds. So I think we subjected her to a lot of noise back in the day. But
you've got the coolest mum ever. That's awesome.
I think so.
Hey, you said earlier you've got you come from 4 generations of musicians and farmers. What's the musical background going a bit further back?
So we come from Nika down in Tasmania, south of Hobart. My great-grandfather, George Wolfe, was a fiddle player. And then my grandfather, who I never got to meet, Ernie Wolfe, he was a saxophone player mainly, but played a lot of different stuff. and he had what they called Wolfe's Family Orchestra, which would go around and play, around Tasmania and in the sort of southern area down there. And I guess they played kind of, popular stuff at the time and vaudeville type things. And, my dad would play drums sometimes. My uncle would play drums or a bit of piano or whatever. And then dad was a drummer in a Hobart band called Midnight Revival for pretty much 30 odd years or something.
Wow. Wow.
And they sort of, played, it was a cover band. They did release a couple of original things, but predominantly a cover band playing, Creedence, Rolling Stones, Beatles, all those sorts of classic things. So, and then they were farming and doing other jobs in the other times. So, I guess it was probably inevitable that I was going to get into the whole thing.
Wow, that's cool. That's a really cool heritage. It's good to be so aware of it as well.
The amazing thing is that sometimes people come to our gigs and they'll say, I used to watch your grandfather, then I watched your father, and now I'm here watching you boys.
Oh, wow.
And that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
that's incredible.
I mean, they've usually got sort of earplugs in and, I don't really like what you do. No, it's amazing. It's amazing.
That's really cool.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So what's the journey for you between, I guess, the end of school then and then forming the Wolfe Brothers?
Well, so after high school, went to Hobart College and then had another great music teacher in that department, Phil Grinham. And this is at this time, I don't know, my metal sort of was getting a bit on the softer side, and I started really getting into hair metal. Yep. And this is kind of where it got a bit interesting. And so Brody and I then formed a band called 5150.
Nice. And Van Halen.
Yeah, so we got right into all that. And I think my big kind of takeaway band from then, I just associate it with, the glorious college years, but is Warrant. I love Warrant.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it, So, really got into those guys, and finally, actually, only a couple of months ago, got to see Warrant live, and that was just incredible. So
there you go, man. Very cool.
So we got right into the hair metal, me and Brode.
Hey, this is interesting because hair metal was long gone by then.
So long gone.
Yeah.
So what we'd do, we'd go to college and then in lunch break or something, we'd duck down into Hobart and we'd go to a shop called Solder's Sound Centre, and it was like a second-hand music shop.
Okay.
And there were just racks and racks of old magazines and old DVDs, or no, there wouldn't be DVDs, there'd be VCRs back then.
Yeah, right.
And then every now and again you'd stumble across the Grail, like a Paul Gilbert instructional video or something like that, because YouTube wasn't. I mean, it was around then, but that wasn't. The internet wasn't great then, so we were still we were getting out the VHS and Paul Gilbert videos and I remember finding this Warrant Dirty Rotten Filthy Stinking Rich live thing, and just awesome, So I mean, they've not so much these days, but whenever I'd go to record a solo or something, all the boys would always be like, "Oh, mate, it's literally just Warrant, but it's cool." but it's quite interesting with Warrant because I believe that the guys in the band didn't record a lot of the solos. So my guitar hero possibly is kind of like this ghost guy who I can't find much about.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's a guy called Mike Slamer.
Okay, yeah.
And just never, every now and again I'll get on the net and see what I can find. There might be, a podcast here and there or a few bits, but it's kind of a little bit unclear of how much he played on the albums. But he's definitely got a very distinguishable style. And like if you think of this Angry Anderson song "Bound for Glory," the
Oh
solo
yeah,
in that.
yep.
So I heard that and like, geez, that really sounds like Warrant. And then I looked into it. Yeah, Mike Slamer. So I'm like, okay,
Wow, there you go.
yeah.
So that sound was locked in for you then.
Yeah, I mean, just certain elements, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just really sort of like it's a great sort of middle ground between shredding and great memorable hooks and all that sort of stuff. I just love it.
Yeah, cool. I think I heard an interview with the guy who produced that first Warrant record, and his side of the story, if I remember it properly, was that the two guitar guys, they when they were tracking for the solos and stuff, they weren't quite there. But to their credit, they were cool with someone else coming in. They learned all his parts and became much better players for it. So
yeah, I've heard about that, and like this guy actually would teach them and sort of have lessons with them and show them. So no, really, really cool. But I mean, yeah, like as I say, finally, I think it was the last couple of months when we were over in the States. We're in Nashville, and every time we've been to the States, I've always just got on the net, and I'm like, I wonder if Warrant, doing some sort of county fair or something around here, because I've never got to see him. And this time it happened. They were playing down in this club in Chattanooga, and I'm like, yeah, we're going. So
how good?
Oh no, it was so good. We got there, and our manager he didn't tell me, but like it said you had to print the tickets out. So I get up to the door and I've got the tickets, and I'm on my phone, like, I hope they can, get them off the phone. And then our manager's like, oh, you won't need the tickets, mate. I'm like, oh, what was that? He's like, oh, well, I sent them that thing from your Instagram of you playing the solo to Sometimes She Cries, and they've given us VIP passes and we're going to meet them. And I'm like, oh my God.
How good. That's the best.
It was really cool because, last year I sort of treated myself and got a Charvel. I just didn't have any like shred type guitars in the stable, and I thought, I just need something to just have a bit of a lash on every now and again, So I got the white Charvel. I think it's like a DK24. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, nice, man.
White with like gold, the gold Floyd Rose and gold hardware, and and it's just one of those things you can just instantly play faster on. It's incredible. So every now and again I'll get out and relearn an old Warrant solo or something like that, and have a bit of fun.
Nice. So we're talking about I guess so college. So you're doing you're studying music at college?
So I ended up doing a lot of bloody drama in college, which I feel like was kind of, if I could go back, I would have done a lot more music. I wish I could have done more like recording classes and things like that. I did end up going to the Conservatorium of Music in Hobart after that. But I haven't actually graduated. I think I've got one. It's a bit ridiculous, actually. I've got one unit to go on my Bachelor of Music, and the unit is performance. And I think you have to record a 5-track EP, or not EP, but a 5-track CD.
Okay. Yep.
And then that's that unit. So
that's
a little bit ridiculous because we've had 2 ARIA nominated albums, and
it's all right. A truckload of golden guitars.
So but I mean, it's not jazz either. So I understand, but I'm hoping one day maybe they might tick off the box for me, because I really would love to get the Bachelor of Music. Yeah,
you've probably got your performance together. I'd suggest by now.
Well, sometimes.
Cool, man. So college. What's what follows that then? So because I know the Wolfe Brothers, the TV thing, which we'll get to, was around 2012, I think.
So,
but how long have you been? When did you get up and running first?
Got left college. I think I was at the Conservatorium then. And my brother and I were playing with two other guys, and I'd started kind of going back to country, which I never really played, but it was always around. Like, I think my first concert I ever went to was a James Blundell concert. Mum was a big country fan, and I think it kind of got in the blood pretty early on. So around college, I'd sort of started getting back into country, and a big part of that was the Keith Urban Golden Road album. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. I've never been. I've tried to learn the chicken picking and the ultra fast, Brent Mason and Brad Paisley stuff, and obviously we all appreciate it. It's absolutely incredible. Those guys are phenomenons. But I think I've kind of always liked the Keith sort of more approach, where it's it's a little more melodic, more bluesy, bit more knoflery, I suppose. And so I love the songs that on Golden Road, and that kind of drew me back into country. And I guess so. I was playing with my brother. We were doing covers with some other guys over a couple of years, and then guys came and left, and then it wound up with Casey, who I was in the metal band in high school with. Brode came back in, who I was playing hair metal with in college, and the Wolfe Brothers. We just called it the Wolfe Brothers because basically we'd play covers around Hobart, and then everyone would say like, "Oh, I'm going to see the Wolfe Boys." So we're like, "Okay, let's just call it the Wolfe Brothers." I think we all called One for the Road for a little bit of time, but when your name's Wolf, you may as well use it, I suppose.
Man.
It's pretty memorable name.
Very rock and roll name. Yes.
Yeah. So we did covers mainly. Starting off, and our gigs were things like rodeos, B&S balls, country pubs around Tasmania, and we did that for a few years, and we got a really, really loyal following. We'd go to these pubs like the Great Lake Hotel, which is pretty much smack bang in the centre of Tasmania in the Central Highlands, away from, it's like a 3-hour drive to get there. And our gigs would just be packed and pumping, and, the licensing would get onto it and come and shut the pub down, and people would be burning couches in the car park and things like that. And it just became this real thing in Tasmania.
Wow.
We'd go and play somewhere, and just be the rural kids, would all come around, and it was awesome. So we got a really loyal following. And then I was at the conservatorium, and I was learning about recording from a guy called Tony Sayer, and we decided we'd make an EP. We're always sort of trying to write songs and things like that, and sort of in the country rock sort of area. And Tony, my teacher, recorded it. We put that out. We had a massive EP launch down in Salamanca in Hobart. We were doing sort of like these original nights and stuff, and then the original scene of Hobart kind of, were a bit against us because we also did covers, and, they're like, oh, these guys don't belong here. And then we just did this EP launch, and it was like, 600 people or something. They're like, how the hell did this happen? It's like, well, we've been gigging every week for like the last 3 years, building a following, and now
building it. That's great.
This is how it happens. So, but it also worked really well in our favour when we did eventually go on Australia's Got Talent, because not only did all these fans that we got from our cover stuff over those years just got right behind us, kind of the whole state of Tasmania, just like people were literally would see me on the street and were like crying, like it was like a Beatlemania.
Wow.
It was quite bizarre. Like, I think those shows kind of had a bit more sting back then too.
Sure. Yeah.
But it was a very crazy time, really crazy.
So this is 2012 when the Australia's Got Talent thing happens. But isn't it interesting? Like, I guess those shows, they feel like they've they've maybe not got the same amount of steam these days. But there's the perception that, the people who go on there, they're not working musicians or they're not building a career. They're just hoping for a quick push. But the people who've done well with it, it's, like guys like yourself working really hard and then obviously just in such a prime position to take advantage of the exposure that followed.
Honestly, that's the only reason we went on, because, I remember I think we were recording our EP at the time, and then, they have sort of scouts that come into the state or the area they're auditioning at, and they're like, oh, they must have, heard a bit of buzz about us, and they're like, oh, do you want to come and audition? And we all obviously, we just like, nah, we don't want to go on one of those shows, And we were working with a manager at the time, and she said, oh, look, just go on it and see how you go. Look, if you end up getting on, it might be able to help me get more gigs on the mainland, as we call it, because we just couldn't get a gig outside of Tasmania. I think we did one BNS, was great, and then, it cost us more to get there and back than the gig, but, we loved it and it was all good. We did Tamworth, and again, we lost money going there, and but it was cool because we did it, but we just couldn't get any traction over there, So, we decided to have a little punt, and we went and auditioned, and it just went off from there. But really lucky with how they treated us on that show. I feel like a lot now they force people to do covers. I think we played. This might be wrong, but I think maybe there's 5 songs we did over the series, maybe, and 4 were original, and we did 1 cover, I think. So, bloody, good on them for letting us do that, because they really,
yeah,
they didn't really have to,
sure,
they could have said like, oh no, you've got to do this, but they let us do our own songs, and I think the producers were sort of probably a bit surprised we were there, so as long as we were, because there were things like, on the grand final show, there's a big opening number where each, act who's made the grand final, sings a couple of lines, or if they're a dancer, they come out and dance, all that sort of stuff. And we didn't have anything in this opening number. Our part was just to walk out at the end and walk off to the side and wave. And then we're like, so what? So we don't have to play or anything. It's and then one of the musical directors oh man, I don't think they thought you were going to be here, eh? Right. Yeah, but so we ended up coming second through that.
Yeah.
And and through that, that's where I guess the things that really started kicking off. Our manager now, Steve White, saw us through there, and Lee Kernaghan saw us on there, and he was around that time looking for a new band. After that sort of show concluded, we went and auditioned for Lee. I think we'd been to Sydney twice in our lives, so then we're going into Sydney. We've learned all this entire catalogue basically, just because we're we want this gig, and it was so bizarre, but we were going to the rehearsal studio, the one down near the airport there in Sydney, and we're saying so, do you reckon Lee's going to be wearing his hat, or we've never met him,
Yeah.
And
was he?
He wasn't. No
hat. Okay.
No, just a cap. He comes in because we've been playing Lee's songs at rodeos and things like that for the 4 years leading up to this, So it was a big deal for us, we were freaking out, and but we basically set up, jammed. I think we jammed 2 or 3 songs, and Broad in that it wasn't really an audition, it was more of a jam to see whether it would work, I suppose. But we played one of Lee's songs called Dirt, and Broad just nailed this solo, and you just see Lee look over and just be like, yep, yeah, this is going to work. And
Nice.
finished that song, and he's like, yeah, boys, you got the job. And we've been touring with Lee ever since. We've been touring on our own ever since. And just, I guess, riding the wave. Like, it's sort of to the point now where most people probably don't even know we're on the show, which is kind of cool that we've transcended that whole deal, and people are into it just for our music. But but there's still definitely people that come to the gigs that are like, oh, saw you guys on Australia's Got Talent, and yeah, so it was the reality TV thing. It gets put across as can be a pretty negative thing for a lot of musicians, but I've got to say for us, it was literally life changing.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, there's so many terrible stories about this, and there's plenty of great ones too. But I'm glad, it was such a positive experience, and the traction, man, from that, it's fantastic.
Well, like I say, like the support of the Tasmanian community during that show was just like unreal. I don't know if there might have been a couple of other people who'd been on those sorts of shows before, but it just really ignited when we went on there, And like I say, like I remember being out one night in Hobart and people like coming up, like literally crying at us, going like, "Oh my God, you're doing us proud." Like, it's ridiculous, but thank God for them, because they voted for us, and we get to live these incredible lives now, and where we haven't had a normal job since then. We've got to go around and play guitar and see parts of the country and the world that we never would have. We'd still be playing in Irish Murphys in Hobart.
Yeah.
If that hadn't happened. So
yeah, awesome.
We're very grateful.
So good, and the whole Lee Kernaghan thing's cool too, because you. I think for a lot of shows, I think, is it still happening that you'll open the show and then you'll jump on for Lee's set as well as his band?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it usually goes, we'll open the show, do sort of at the moment we're doing like a 9-song set.
Yeah. And
then, which is pretty generous for an opening act, and then we'll have a little intermission, and then go backstage, have a couple of fireball shots, and then come out with Lee all guns blazing. So,
nice.
But Lee has been such a massive supporter for us. Like, he honestly doesn't view it as like a support act. He views it as a double bill, and he gives us full access to, his crew, lighting, all, and which, Lee has an amazing crew of people, and they all look after us so well, as well. So really, really lucky. It's just working on those tours with Lee has, allowed us to go and build a fan base in all parts of Australia. Like, it's a great thing about country is you go to all these great regional areas you may not go if it wasn't that sort of music. So
sure,
it's been awesome. Excellent,
man. That's so good. Tell me about working with Brody. Like you said, he's a great guitar player, as you are. How do you guys go about arranging parts when you're writing new stuff or you're in the studio or whatever?
Yeah, well, basically I think up until the last album, we'd sort of just had the approach of like, we set up everything live, track it all together and then go back over the top and do stuff over the top. But it was kind of just, we kind of have got a bit sick of that, because we know if we record it like that, it's just going to sound the same as the other albums, and I don't have a particularly high voice either,
Mm-hmm.
It's so when my voice seems to sit right in the guitar frequency, range. So you really got to push it to get it above everything. So I guess in the last album, we definitely did more kind of arranging and trying to come up with parts that, occupied all their own space and left room for the vocals, and rather than just bashing out a heap of chords, which is probably what we've done on the previous 3 albums a lot, But yeah, when it comes to solos, we're not too precious, If someone's got a good idea, they'll they'll do the solo and they'll explore it and they'll get to do that one. And if I've got a solid idea of where I want that solo to go, Brode says, yeah, you do it, so it's not really a competitive environment at all. We just sort of do it, but yeah, like as I say, we're not really a chicken picking type sort of thing, we're a little bit more high gain than a lot of country guys, but although I must say that, it's we've definitely backed the gain off in the last sort of album. It's been nice actually, but I mean Brody's really into his chicken picking and massive fan of Brad Paisley and those sort of guys. So, but that's always been a bit hard for me. That's
How do you go juggling being the front man and dropping in these guitar parts from the albums? Is that something you rethink for the shows?
Actually, yeah. So actually, Brode ends up doing quite a few of the solos that I actually recorded for that reason, because I'm like, you know what? I just can't bloody be bothered trying to sing up to and then turn on my delay and all that stuff at once and then do the solo and then turn it all off and try and come back in and sing and not look like, a complete moron. And it's just easier. This Brode just does it and then he just rocks it out and everyone loves it and it's great, So yeah, we're good like that too. We're not like, oh, this is my solo, and so no, so yeah, it's an interesting arrangement. It's I think some people find that a bit weird. Like even in film clips, often I'll let Brode do the solo, and he looks so much cooler than me as well. So it's good. It's a good arrangement.
Nice, man. Very cool. Tell me about this year's Golden Guitars. I was working. I was on a gig, but always flick on the ABC on the way home on the radio and see what's going on. And man, you guys cleaned up. I think you took home 4 out of 5 Golden Guitars.
Yeah, it was amazing, mate. So up until that point, we'd lost. We'd been nominated for 13 and lost 13.
Yeah.
And and there's some we were just certain we should have won, as everyone is, everyone thinks their thing's the thing. But
just can I jump in though with to get nominated? I mean, anyone can put forward material, but to get nominated and then to get voted on, that's totally a peer thing, isn't it, in the industry for the Golden Guitars? Yeah,
I think, and there's certain categories too, but it's basically anyone can nominate. I think you've probably got to be a member of the CMAA.
Okay.
And then I think and then then there's a voting round, and then the finalists will be put up. I think that happens around sort of late October from memory, and then everyone a member of the CMAA votes, and in Tamworth at the end of the festival they have the Golden Guitars and sort of Australia's major country music awards. So they've been going for about 50 years, and I guess it's always been a goal of ours to get one, So we thought this year might have been the year we finally got one. Yeah. But to get 4 that night was just one of those nights we'll just never forget. It's just so cool. Fantastic.
Well deserved, man, too. The album itself, where a lot of it sprung from, being Country Hearts, fantastic record. And you guys obviously worked incredibly hard.
Well,
all the way along, so just rewards.
Well, it's funny, just Country Heart, this might be an unpopular opinion on a guitar podcast, but, one of the things we sort of said was let's make this one less guitar-y, and I don't think we even touched a guitar apart from recording an acoustic and a scratch vocal for 4 or 5 days when we started doing it. We'd get a click track, do a scratch vocal, acoustic, and then our producer Matt Fell, he'd kind of get into mad scientist mode and be pulling out all those weird synthy stuff, and then
Yep.
we'd be sitting there. I'd be sitting there in the background, conservatively going, "Oh, I don't know about that, mate. You know, oh, that's pretty out there, you know." And then the Tom and Bro, they were like, "Oh yeah, this is awesome," you know. And then we'd go and do our normal what we do, but definitely thought this time more about arranging riffs and things like that, rather than just slamming a wall of semi-distorted chords as we have done a bit in the past, you know. But it was great because I think every song ended up having its own kind of unique personality, maybe. Whereas had we approached it like we'd done the other albums, where we'd all just get in a room and bang it out, you know, they're always going to have that kind of common foundation to start from. And then, you know, that can be good, but it can also make them all sound the same. So we really took a lot of time and to make sure each song on the album had its own individual vibe, I guess.
Sure.
And then, seemed to work out all right.
Yeah. Well, man, I loved the earlier albums for sure, and they are just wall to wall with massive guitars. And when we talk about the 80s, I can hear some of that big guitar influence and that big production influence, which is awesome, man.
Like,
but
some of the early stuff, there's a song on the It's On album, and it's called Dangerous, and it's like it's basically Southern Sons and Farnham ripped off in a song, basically with vocals that aren't anywhere near as high or cool, you know. But we're huge Southern Sons fans.
Okay, yeah, great.
And Farnham fans. Actually, when we were on Australia's Got Talent, what we'd do is before each time we'd be in the dressing room, we'd have our laptop and we'd have the Chain Reaction tour DVD.
Oh yeah, how good is that? That's awesome.
Oh man, we would call that the Old Testament. So that was a fairly big influence on all of us, you know.
Nice.
I mean that's so cool. Like I just like to just YouTube that every now and again, and just remind myself how good people can be. Yeah, you know.
That's the one with Jack Jones and Phil Buckle on guitars, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, and
nice.
Hirschfelder on keys. And just a tour de force of it's just so cool. And everyone Farnham he still sings like an absolute beast, but you know, you might say the height of his powers, possibly. You know, just everyone on that stage, it was incredible. And so we'd always put that on before we were going to do these things and get pumped up, and we love it. Yeah, that's what I say when you asked me to do this podcast, and you know, heard Phil's one and Brett Garstead's one, and I'm like, man, yeah, this is so cool. So
nice, man. Well, I was saying about the older stuff, like that big wall of massive guitars and also like backing vocals reminded me of Def Leppard a little bit. Which I don't know if that's like a Mutt Lange hangover from the Shania Twain stuff.
We absolutely did that. I remember because, you know, we're big fans of Def Leppard as well. And actually I'm a massive fan of Mutt Lange. I have a playlist where I find songs that sort of are interesting, like pop rock songs, but they'll do interesting kind of chord, like, you know, the chorus might go to a different key or something like that. And I've just made this playlist, and 9 times out of 10, Mutt Lange is involved in those songs. Wow.
There you go.
He is mother, that guy. It's amazing. What are we talking about? The BVs. Yeah. So, we literally did that thing where you record the BVs, and then you record heaps of takes of whisper tracks of you know, singing in that sort of type thing, and put that out. So that was totally a Mutt Lange rip off, that one.
Nice, man. Nice. Or an influence, you know, we can call it whatever.
An influence, heavily influenced by that.
That's cool. But then the new record comes out, and it's got a whole new level of detail and nuance. Which I guess goes back to what you were saying earlier, you know, taking your time with each tune and crafting parts for each song carefully. Was there any In terms of guitars and instruments, was there any different approaches on that record?
Yeah, only in the fact, I guess we didn't, we probably found ourselves, I guess we'd sort of just probably grown up a bit, like on the previous albums, I guess we just were still thinking we got to make this rock, and it's got to be loud, and it's got to, have kind of shred influences, and I guess we just like, nah, actually, what we're singing about here doesn't always necessarily warrant that treatment, and I think perhaps the music and the production we ended up with on this album kind of suited the songs and the what they're about better, and I think that was one reason it kind of connected so much better than the previous albums with so many old fans and new fans. I mean, we still got guys. We actually did get guys coming to the gig. Like a guy came to the gig recently, and he's like, we were sort of doing a bit of a meet and greet after a gig, and he had Broad bailed up on the side, and he was saying, don't let him. Don't let him stop you doing the solos, mate. You still got to have them in there.
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
But it's funny. We get a lot of people coming to our gigs, I think, that were heavily into like maybe pub rock and things like that in its day, and it's quite. I think a lot of it's one big. Have you heard of the Big Red Bash Festival?
Yeah.
So that's just for those who don't know. It's Birdsville Big Red Bash. It's in Birdsville, which is pretty much it's on the edge of the Simpson Desert, I believe. Extremely hard to get to.
I was going to say middle of nowhere, but I think your description's more geographically accurate.
Literally, the middle of nowhere. Like even from Birdsville, it's about 45 minutes in a 4-wheel drive to get to the festival site.
Yeah,
you get there. There's no phone service. There's 9,000, 10,000 people there.
Wow.
It's I believe it's bring your own alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And the stage there's no roof on the stage. It's at the base of this massive sand dune called Big Red, and the lineup is usually sort of guys like the Angels, Farnham, Midnight Oil did it this year, which would have been to see that those guys at that location would have been one of the ultimate gigs, I reckon. So, but yeah, like that, and then there'll be the sort of country element too. Like we've done it a few times, Lee Kernaghan and various guys like that from the country scene. So, but the cool thing is, we can almost, no matter where we are in Australia, there'll be someone who comes to our gig and like saw you guys at the Big Red Bash, wasn't a country fan, love what you guys do, and now I'm right into it, And I think
nice,
so.
Man.
Yeah, there's so many of that guy who's like is right into the Angels, that sort of sound, and then kind of here's what we do, and I think maybe goes, oh yeah, maybe country isn't all as traditional as they thought, So
Sure.
that's cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely, you guys would be a great bridge for a lot of guys. Like you said, like the rockers for sure, because there's that heritage. But yeah, you've certainly combined the country edge.
Well, the thing that I find too is like we certainly didn't come from listening to traditional country. The only country that I've really ever been exposed to when I was young was, as I say before, like early James Blundell. When I was starting to play guitar, like line dancing was a massive craze. Mum used to do line dancing.
Yeah.
So
that's the achy breaky coming back again.
That period, It was like a real kind of thing. But like it's always been kind of country rock, I guess, that that I've heard, and like those early Blundell albums, like the guitar parts and everything on that, it's just magical. I believe it was Mark Punch who did a lot of that stuff.
Okay,
I've never met,
cool.
but just awesome stuff. Like Laurie Minson, guys like that. Just great sounds, beautifully, just perfect parts. So that's kind of, I guess, where our country origins, I guess, came from, I suppose.
Yeah, nice, man. Nice. So you're out heaps. You guys are working so hard. You're touring so much. What I saw a great Instagram post from you yesterday or the day before. There was you've got a killer roadcase now to lug
mate,
your guitars. Tell me about.
I have just got the case of my dreams.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Now, for people who are not traveling all the time like you are, a guitar case is fairly boring, but explain why this is so good, and then we'll talk about what you put inside it. Yeah,
sure thing. So I've been lugging around basically 3 guitars. The acoustic. I have an electric that I use with Lee, which is a standard tuning. We're always down half a step, so then I've got another one down half a step. So I've pretty much always got to take 3 guitars. So most of my gear choices is actually shaped by, I'm going to have to fly this pretty much every week somewhere. And so, but I've just got this case that's, it's a Scott Dixon case there in the UK. It's a 3 guitar case, so I can put my acoustic, 2 electrics in it, and it's made of aluminium, and it's made really lightweight. So I haven't confirmed this yet, but by my calculations, with 3 guitars in it, I should be able to fly it as one individual airline piece.
Okay.
And if you've ever done that,
yeah, man,
you know how terrible that that is the grail of
yeah.
But it's even so good too. Like it stands up on its end like a kind of like a guitar boat sort of thing, and you take off the front. But I was wheeling it around. Even like I noticed the other night, I took it into the hotel, and went into the hotel, up in a lift, and then I got to the room, and I'm like, wow, that was actually easier than carrying like 1 guitar, let alone 3, because it stands on its end. So when you stop moving, you don't have to put it down and pick it up again. You just tip it up and it stands there. So it's just, oh man, so good. No more baggage trolleys getting to the airport and putting your card on the baggage trolley thing, and then it takes you $5 and doesn't give you the cart and all that stuff. Like, oh my God. I mean, probably, so I'm very excited about that case. It's such a cool thing.
Awesome. As a very, very occasional guitar flyer, but a weekly player lugging gear in and out of cars, I'm very happy for you.
Mate,
I feel
it's made my year,
Yeah.
It's so good.
Nice. Now, what do you put inside? So you said an acoustic and 2 electrics. What are we talking about?
So again, I don't, most of my, I don't really, I've never had what some would call amazing kind of high expensive instruments, but the ones I have I love. So I've got my favorite guitar of all time is this Mexican Strat that I got when I was in college, and I'm terrible with model numbers and names and stuff like that, but it's got it's not a Hot Rails, but it's a humbucker single coil type thing, and then 2 other single coils that are sort of replaced.
Yep.
And that's I just love that guitar. It's just no matter what other one I played, I just always go back to that one.
That's the one.
Oh, God,
nice.
This is great. So there's that one, and that's starting to look pretty cool. I guess it's 15 something years old now, and the scratch plate's gone brown almost. I kind of wish the paint would start aging a bit, but it's the paint still must have been that from that time where they just keep they don't age
Yeah,
now,
it's probably
whatever
pretty
that
tough
is,
poly or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I love playing that one. Then I got my Telecaster, again, a Mexican one. This is an interesting one. I bought it. I really wanted a B bender Telecaster.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
so I was sort of, this is years ago, but I was like inquiring, like, and they were like, oh, look, none are set to come into Australia for like, a year or something, but we can, we'll put your name down. Like, yeah, nah. And then so what I did is I bought the B bender off eBay, like the actual components, and I also bought a G bender as well, which was like on a hip shot thing.
Okay. Yep.
And then I went to the shop in Hobart, bought a Mexican telly, and literally went straight from the shop to a guy called Paul Manure, luthier down there, and said, mate, can you put this in this guitar? And he's like, well, what the hell is this? But he did an amazing job.
Yeah.
And
nice.
then I got this guitar back with a B bender and a G bender.
So is that do they activate off both ends of the strap?
So what happens is the B bender is off the neck end of the strap.
Yeah. Okay.
And I guess for those who don't know, you push down on the guitar, this lever goes up, which is attached to your strap, and it raises the tone of the B string by a tone.
Okay. Yep.
And the G bender one I had was actually like a hip shot thing. So it had a steel bar that would rest against your hip, and then you pushed forward on the neck, and that is what would raise the tone of the G string by a tone. But look, it made the guitar so heavy.
Okay.
And it was so hard to sing, and because like if you put any pressure on either of these things, it's going to bend the string. So if you're like if you forget for like 1 second, you've got like you might be like bending a string like not a semitone, but just that sort of microwave inducing out of tune sort of thing. So so I took the G bender off, and now it's just the B bender in that one, which I'd probably use like once a gig, if that. If I'm feeling like I'm playing well and I'm going to be able to pull something off that is going to, if I'm feeling confident, I'll switch over to the B bender strap notch, and then I'll throw something in. But honestly, I don't use it too much. I break it out in recording, but I love. We always loved like the sound of the B bender on Metallica's stuff.
Oh, really?
Things.
Wow.
I think there's one of the songs like "My Friend of Misery" that has just this riff in it towards the end. It's just one of the best uses of a B bender I can ever think of. It's just so cool. They use another couple of things. Maybe I can't think of the name of the song. I don't know. But they Hetfield is bloody good with the B bender, but not in a chicken picking country way. Just in a really really cool way. That guitar's got again. Don't know the name, what pickups they are, but are rails in the bridge, and that's actually got a Strat sort of configuration with two single coils. Not the telly thing.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, so
nice, man.
Yeah, and then the acoustic is it's a red Fender Redondo. We're endorsed by Fender. They saw us on the show on Australia's Got Talent, and they were all playing Fenders, and they're like, "Well, you're all playing Fenders, boys. Do you want to make it official?" That was kind of the email, and we were like, "My God, this is the best day of our lives." So that happened really early on. So it was a grant at Fender, and now we sort of deal with Heath, and Fender Australia have been just absolutely wonderful to us. So
excellent.
Yeah, really happy to be involved with those guys. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So playing the Redondo, which is got the Strat headstock. Which I first I was like, oh, you know what? I'm not sure about this as a kind of acoustic thing, but really grows on you, I find, and good for tuning.
Yeah. They're all right there.
Yeah. So it's it seems to, I don't know, it seems to hold tune very well, like compared to, I don't know, what do you call that when the tuning pegs are on both sides?
Oh,
that
yeah,
configuration.
the three aside, yeah.
Yeah, there's something. I think there's something pretty cool actually about the Strat headstock
Yeah.
on acoustic.
Man, I reckon they look super cool. I remember it's one of the Midnight Oil clips. Both guys are playing Fender acoustics with the six-a-side headstock. It looks killer.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It definitely grows on you. It's I love it. So they're my my three workhorses, I guess. And
Yep.
I put them in the good case, and away we go.
Nice, man. You said before we started recording, you mentioned something about a Gretsch. Have you got some guitars that just stay at home or just for the studio?
Yeah, well, I got onto the Gretches. I've only sort of gone back to the Strat and the Telly in the last couple of years.
Okay.
But for the last few years before that, I was using. I had two Gretsch 54 20Ts. Again, not a hugely premium Gretsch, but mate, they were amazing. I just wanted more frets basically.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, why I've gone back to the Strats and Tellys, and but they were a great sound. I love the Bigsby thing. Not in like a rockabilly type way, but just I love that kind of. Oh, this is funny actually. We call those sort of like. Well, the best way we describe them in the band is Phil Buckle chords.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Where it's sort of like this beautiful ringing out chord, and there's just like a slight, if you just sort of slightly press up and down on the Bigsby, and it just makes this beautiful chorusy type thing. And I love it for that. That was a great thing about those guitars. Love that.
Nice. Mentioning Phil, do you ever open tune it or?
No. That podcast he did with Phil, that blew my mind. Some of those tunings he was talking about there. I never really knew that was what was going on. I was always trying to play those songs and figure them out by standard. But once you hear that, you're like, oh yeah, that's the sound, isn't it? It's so cool.
Yeah, man. It's the same story. Yeah, I always figured they were standard. The electric stuff anyway, I thought it's got to be standard, but yeah, he makes it work. But that's cool. And I guess Gretsch, that's part of the Fender family nowadays as well. Yeah. So that's a nice connection.
Well, I kind of got onto it because I was going to get one of those Tellys with again, I'm terrible with pickups and stuff, but with the Gretsch type pickups in it. I think they were called like a Cabronita Telly, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
And
they're cool.
They were out of them, and then I'm like, oh well, maybe I'll just try one of these Gretches, and then I just got hooked, and away we went.
Nice.
James Ryan was at Fender then, and he sort of got me into it, and
nice.
Yeah, loved him. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, what do you do for amps and stuff? Especially like you're on the road all the time. You probably prohibitive lugging an amp around.
That's right. Yeah. So I definitely don't really lug an amp around too much. And again, I guess my choice of amp is just sort of shaped by the travel and the all the going around. But I own a Hot Rod DeVille 212.
Yeah, nice.
That stays in Sydney in a storage shed, and so most of the Kernaghan stuff and stuff that's around Sydney will use that. So and then I've got another Hot Rod Deluxe, just a 112 in Tasmania that I use for stuff down here. So I kind of have to have two sets of gear. And then, I really like the DeVille 212 because pretty much everywhere you go, every backline company, that's what's going to be.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes pretty well too. Like Brode uses the AC30, so
okay, nice.
They seem to be a good combo.
Cool.
With each other. And then pedal wise, I again is shaped mostly by the traveling aspect. So I've used a lot of sort of multi effects over the last few years. I had the last few years I had the Line 6, is it the M9
Okay.
the
Yep.
sort of six button one.
Yep.
And then that died a glorious death.
Do
Mid
tell.
solo, had developed this
No.
nice habit where just all the parameters would just go back to zero
Oh,
without
really?
anybody or anything touching it.
That's
And
a shame.
but look, honestly, it gave me years of faithful service. So I can't speak badly of it. It was just had its day and seen
Yeah.
too many backs of vans and suitcases and stuff like that. So
Sure. Yeah.
so yeah, after that I did the fly rig, the Tech 21
Oh, yeah. Yep.
fly rig, just that was really good. That had one of the best sounding delays I reckon I've ever heard. That was really cool. Then I went used so Laurie Minson, who's a really prominent guitarist in Australian country. He actually makes like a really good multi effects unit called the Minson M8, and I was using one of those for a while. Super cool pedal, like just like one knob per effect. You can take it, unscrew the back and then tweak your parameters within each one, but then you put it back on, and then you've just got the one knob that's kind of the main feature of whatever effect it is.
That sounds great
and
for
it's
live.
It's really good quality sounds and great value. So, the cool thing about it too, it has like a clean boost at the end, so you can either use it like if you have it on. So and it's at 12 o'clock, it's at like unison. So if you could either turn it up and then turn it on as a boost, or you can back it off, have it on all the time, and match that with the clean sound of your amp. Say if you've got like overdrive and stuff before it, and then when you do a solo, you take off the boost pedal.
Okay, nice.
And then the whole thing gets louder. So it's a pretty cool setup how he's got it. It's really cool. So that's great. But right at the moment, I'm using actually a Moore Red Truck.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Cool.
Yeah. So and that's really basically. I just thought I'd try it out because it was so bloody light, and I just put it in my suitcase. And then because I can't really sometimes just afford to, have another luggage piece that's pedals or whatever, so I just run that and it does everything I need, The only thing bad about it was the tuner. It's pretty inaccurate, so I've just used the old clip on behind the headstock.
Sure.
Doesn't look cool in photos, but it's all right.
Does a job. Man, for someone on the road, that sounds like a great little rig, and yeah, triple guitar case. Sounds like you're good to go.
Oh, mate. Well, the great thing about that Red Truck too is it's got a cab simulated output on the front. So the other week we were playing, and then one of the backline amps, literally smoke started coming out of it mid-gig, and we didn't have a spare amp, and everyone's kind of looking around, and then I've remembered there's this thing, I'd never tried it out, and then one of the guys ran a DI out, and we went, and it was literally not that much different.
Really? Wow.
So,
how good's that?
And it's not like I'm sure there's way better, amp simulators and things like that, but geez, it got us out of a bind,
Yeah,
so,
excellent, man.
That's a world I'd love to get into too, of the axe effects and all those sorts of things. I think I'd be forever, tweaking things and making different sounds, but that'd be right up my alley. But I just haven't ever kind of gone down that path. I think everyone in the band would have to, maybe, it's just sort of, if one guy's not moving air on stage, it might be a bit weird, but
yeah, gotcha.
I guess people still use like powered cabs and stuff with them, but it's a whole world I haven't explored yet, but I'm sure one day I will.
Nice. So what's as we speak, it's kind of mid-September. What's the rest of the year, and looking into 2020, what do things look like for you?
Yeah, so rest of the year we're basically touring with Lee Kernaghan on the Backroad Nation tour. I think we've got 2 weekends off basically for the rest of the year. So looking forward to those. Haven't had a weekend at home in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, really cool going to all parts of Australia basically with that. In the weeks where that's not on, we go and do our own Wolfe Brothers shows somewhere. So yeah, we're always kicking around somewhere. And then next year, hoping to get over to Canada actually and tour quite a bit. So
Great, man.
That'll be a nice exploration, I reckon.
Very cool. You've been you've been over to the US quite a few times, if I'm following correctly. Is that true?
Yeah, that's right. So we've recorded one of our albums over there. We've basically mainly been over there. We do writing trips because Nashville is such a writing hub.
Yeah. Wow.
So basically, we'll go over for a few weeks and then just write with all these guys who are some of the best in the world, and we'll write 2-3 times a day, and we'll use up every single possible idea we can muster in our brains, and somehow we come out with some okay songs at the end of it most of the time. So
great.
But we have played a bit over there too. We did some we got on a county fair circuit.
Yep.
A few years ago.
Nice.
And that was a whole other world. I think so we were playing places like Ohio, Indiana, Midwest, all those sort of places. And I think the guys really were blowing out that they didn't even know Tasmania was a real place. We'd sort of say, if you heard of the Tasmanian devil, they'd be like, oh yeah. That's that thing that spins around like a tornado. And we're like, yeah, no, so it doesn't actually spin, but it is a real thing, and it's a real place. That's where we're from, and now we're going to play American country music at you. So, so I think it blew their minds. But really, really fun times, and I really hope we can get back over to the States and do something like that again one day. So, love it.
Nice one. Well, what's the best way for people to keep up to date with you and the Wolfe Brothers?
Yeah, well, we're on all the normal channels, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all that stuff. So, yeah, check us out and follow along, and hopefully we entertain you in some way.
Yeah, excellent, man, excellent. So I'll post links to all that stuff in the show notes for this show if you're listening. But
great, man. Yeah,
but it's not hard to find the Wolfe Brothers, and your website's awesome. It's like up to date and stuff too. So that's something.
I'm glad to hear that. Well, actually, I often find out where I'm playing off the website myself. So
that's great.
That's good. Or well, Facebook, or my wife will tell me. I'm like, oh yeah, it's cool. That's. I mean, often we just get the itinerary sent through, and then sometimes I'll be going to the airport and I will not actually know where I'm going. So it's good to have the website there to know.
Oh man, Nick, that is very rock and roll. You're just rocking up to the airport. Just get me to the gig.
It's not quite. They're usually not that receptive to like, what flight are you on? I'm like, Melbourne? No, actually Sydney. Yeah. Hang on, let me look. Oh, Brisbane. Yeah. So they tend not to really like that too much. But
sure.
Yeah, we're very spoilt to be in a situation where we can kind of forget where the hell we're going. We've got very amazing management team, and almost too good that as you know, like just to not know where I'm going because I don't read the itinerary well, so it's pretty lucky blokes.
Oh, that's great, man. Well, listen, you guys have worked super hard and you've caught some good breaks, and all the good stuff going on now is testament to that, and so thanks for joining us. Great to hear your story, and keep at it, man.
No, thanks so much. I'm so glad to be on here, mate. Really appreciate it.
All right, there you go. My conversation with Nick Wolfe. I love those stories, man. Those guys were going to make a dent in things no matter what. They just worked super hard, and then a little bit of opportunity and grabbed a hold of it with both hands. I love that story. Very cool to talk to Nick. Hey, make sure you check out our Spotify playlist featuring some of the music we discussed in today's show, including some of that of the Wolfe Brothers. I know you're going to dig it. Links to the Michael Dolce Masterclass 2019 tour dates are also in our show notes, so check those out. And while you're there, why not head over to Guitar Speak Podcast as well. You can find all our previous episodes, how to subscribe to the podcast, where to buy a t-shirt, and all of our social media stuff. All right, my name's Matt Wakeling. You've been listening to the Guitar Speak Podcast. I love it that you're tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. Bye now.